Hello friends and welcome to my channel. Before we begin, please feel free to hit the subscribe button and give this video a like. It helps my channel grow and YouTube can then bring more traffic here, which means I can bring you more content. Now, on to the video. Now just to be clear, this video is not designed to shit on Dayz, as I have a lot of love for the game and spent thousands of hours on it over the years. However, I do feel it's had its time, and this is more about how Scum has done things better. I first got into sandbox survival games way back in 2012, when Dayz blew up into this new genre that defined zombie survival. It started out as a mod for Arma 2 and was created by Dean Rocket Hall. After the craze died out for Arma, which was originally a military simulator, nearly all sales for the game was just to get access to the Dayz mod. Dayz spawned a bunch of bastardised offspring such as Dayz Epoch, Dayz Overwatch and Dayz Overpoch, adding even more features than the basic mod. These games were groundbreaking, and I myself lost months of my life to the Epoch version. However, it wasn't without its problems. The mods had a lot of bugs due to the fact it was being forced to do things the game wasn't originally designed to do. Not to mention, the graphics and the engine were dated and restrictive, meaning that it needed to be updated from the ground up. Bohemia Interactive, the company behind the Arma series, were aware of how successful the mod had become, and brought Dean Hall on board to lead the production of a new standalone version of Dayz, with a new engine, updated player models, new towns and an all-round full overhaul that the game desperately needed. In December 2012, Dayz standalone was released in early access on Steam, and the next chapter was born. The initial state of the game was an absolute mess. Many people didn't understand the concept of early access alpha because it was a brand new concept at the time. Over the years they added more features and updates to the game, fixing 10 bugs but creating 30 more. Dayz had its ups and downs, but hardcore fans stuck with the game, many saying that the best time to play was around the 2015 mark. It had the nickname Running Simulator because the Churnerous map was quite big and there were no in-game vehicles to help with travelling long distances. This problem alone put off a lot of players who were used to the mod that had over 60 vehicles ranging from bicycles, trucks, all the way up to planes and helicopters. In 2016, Dayz went for its worst time because the devs wanted to update the game to a new engine. This was a massive setback as they had to literally unplug all the game code from the old engine and rewrite everything to the new Real Virtuosity engine. Players didn't get an update for nearly a whole year, and most of the zombies had been taken out of the game. Player numbers plummeted and Dayz nearly died. However, the new engine did fix many of the low frame rates and lag the previous engine suffered from, and the code was less restrictive, meaning they could add more features to the game. Dayz came out of early access in December 2018 and was now considered a full game. Even though there were still features and items that had been in the game previously but were taken out and stuck in the offline game files, there are still some items that are in there even to this day. Dayz became a success again, and soon after Bohemia allowed mods to be used, this is when Dayz really started to shine. However, the game still suffered bugs and vehicles are still problematic to this day. Also in 2018, a new contender entered the market, Scum. Hit early access, powered by the known and trusted Unreal Engine. It was advertised as a survival game featuring players as prison inmates dropped into a zombie-infested island to fight and survive with a Hunger Games style format, and everything you do is televised, so each prisoner earns fame points depending on how well they survive. Scum was received well on release, everyone was playing it and saw its potential. However, it really was skin and bones and suffered a number of bugs, so after a little while players found they ran out of things to do and were frustrated with some of the issues and moved on back to Dayz. Fast forward to 2021 and this is where we are now. Dayz is still pushing along, complete with a wealth of mods. cars are still buggy, some features are still missing, items are still locked in the game files, and there are more servers than players. What's more is the Dayz dev team do not work well with the modding community and release game updates that break most mods because they do not give any heads up warnings of what is being changed and what modders need to do to prepare in advance of a game update. So for a few days some servers become broken while they wait for all their mods to catch up. Some mods are discontinued completely because the code changes conflict mods, breaking them for good. But enough about the mod side of things. I want to concentrate mainly on the vanilla Dayz and why Scum is now better. As I said before, the Dayz vehicles are terrible. If you are playing on a medium to high pop server, you will suffer desync without warning and end up getting thrown into a tree. Sometimes cars will just start rocking for no reason and throw the car and occupants into space. It seems that they just cannot figure out how to solve these issues even to this day. There are a few vehicles in Scum, mainly cars, a tractor, some off-road pickups and now boats. There is news that dirt bikes will be included later this year as well. The vehicles handle very well. They even handle differently when off-road or on snow. There are multiple inbuilt radio stations to listen to that play a variety of different music genres, all unsigned artists, and a radio host called John Dick. You can listen to these radio stations in cars or on radios found on the island. This is a nice touch to the game and the music is pretty good. Another vehicle feature that Scum has is that passengers can lean out of their window and fire their weapons. This is something you cannot do in Dayz. Even getting out of your car in Dayz leaves you locked in a 6-second animation, so if you choose to drive a car in Dayz you are completely defenceless and your fate is left to the guy in the road with the big gun. Choosing your character. In Dayz you have many characters to choose from, all from different ages, races and sex. However, it does not matter what character you select because in the end it's just generic male, generic female. There is nothing else that defines them as a person. This is where Scum is different. You can choose a small number of male or female characters, but you also have a much wider set of options to define who they are. You're able to choose their size, weight, strength, age and their genital size. But beware, depending on what you select here will decide on how many skill points you can then spend at the next stage. You are able to fine-tune what skills your character has from weapon handling, engineering, driving, survival and how well they are camouflaged from other players. Each character is designed with different set of survival skills that define how they play the game, and you can improve and upgrade skills just by playing. This works well if you're in a clan because one person can be an expert driver and melee fighter. There is another that is better at lockpicking and bomb defusing, or you can have a character that's able to craft more advanced items than the other members. There are still many options that you cannot access yet to customise your character further, but the game is still halfway through development, so we will have to wait and see when these features become available. Something to be aware of is that there are penalties for creating a skinny or fat character, because weaker characters cannot carry much weight and become overburdened easier. They struggle to pull bowstrings or deal much damage when punching infected, but they can run much faster and for longer. Fat characters with small genitals are very intelligent but are very slow. They cannot run for long and draw weapons much slower than stronger players. So you get the idea. We now move on to the Metabolism System. In Dayz it's fairly straightforward. If you are hungry or thirsty, you eat and drink until the bars are filled. Eat anything you want, providing it isn't rotten or uncooked. It's that simple. Now again, Scum does things differently. When I say differently, I mean better. You have a full metabolism menu that monitors everything. For new players it looks a little scary, but it really isn't. There are only a few things you need to really pay attention to, and that is your stomach and bladder content and sickness bar. You'll learn everything else as you play, and the more you eat and drink, the more all the other bars will start to fill on their own. A lot of time and effort has gone into setting this up. Every food item has its own nutritional table covering everything from sugar, salt, fat, protein and vitamins. So you do need to keep a varying diet, and cooking canned food and meat from animals will give you better nutritional benefits. There is a new metabolism system coming to Scum with an overhauled medical system that includes more injury types, sickness and diseases. This medical system will concentrate on muscle damage, bone damage and organ damage. It is then down to you to diagnose the problem within a set time period, treat the problem and then recover from it, which I assume will include more time and probably a limp. It was supposed to be released with the 0.5 update, however it wasn't ready and the devs decided to hold back because everything about your character is tied into the metabolism, and releasing it while it was buggy and incomplete would have caused more game-breaking bugs. Think of it as the DNA code that writes your entire biological makeup. It's that important. Another trade-off from the metabolism system is that you are required to urinate and defecate, just like in real life. How often you do this is all down to how you created your character and how frequently you eat. And yes, we have all taken a shit and a piss on our AFK teammates because it's awesome. The graphics in Dayz are good, but they are feeling a little bit dated. Some of the visuals of the terrain and environment do hold up well, but I feel were made for the game engine at the time, but not for the future. Scum uses the latest Unreal Engine version, and the visuals are breathtaking. The volumetric clouds, the sunsets, volumetric lighting through trees, and the specular highlights on foliage, all in high quality detail, giving Scum an overall better visual experience. Character spawns. In Dayz, you will spawn at a random location along the Chernarus coast. You will start hungry and defenceless. The coastal areas are usually picked dry and finding food and gear is genuinely difficult, meaning you have to go inland and hope you find something before starving to death or being killed by a zombie. If you die, it is permadeath. You will lose everything and start back on the coast and have to begin the cycle all over again. In Scum, you can spawn anywhere on the map. There is no set fresh spawn location, but you will usually start in a forest somewhere. However, you are able to craft some basic tools and primitive weapons from the get-go, and you will find a large number of food items like mushrooms, olives and vegetables that grow in the woods, so you are never in a position where you cannot find food or be able to craft tools. If you die, you keep all your skills, and if you have earned enough fame points, you have the option to spawn in any map grid or even at your base, providing you have put down a bed. Combat. Since day one, people have seen Dayz as a PUBG type game and ignored all the other in-game mechanics and features just to run around and shoot people. This hasn't changed much, and Dayz still has the same fierce and unforgiving combat system it had from the start. Scum, on the other hand, has an in-game feature where you can set up a PvP event and anyone on the server can join. All applicants will be teleported to a random town, given a weapon loadout, and you all shoot the shit out of each other for a set time. Everyone gains skill points for this, and if you die, you do not lose any of your gear, as when the match is over, you will return to your character with everything still on you. You can even join an MMA octagon fight and beat each other to death repeatedly for fun. Again, building up your boxing skills that can come in useful later on. In Dayz, there is no squad or buddy system unless you use mods designed for this purpose, but as I stated, I'm only using vanilla Dayz for this video. In Scum, you can create a squad complete with name and customised logo, and when you bring people into the squad, there are options to promote them, and you will see their names above their head. Everyone in a squad will get shared access of vehicles and bases unless the leader sets locks for certain members. The AI in Dayz, ranging from the infected to wildlife, is pretty good. Zombies are a constant menace that you won't be able to avoid. There are no ragdoll physics, so players and infected all share the same death animation. Sometimes you can loot infected, but that is as far as it goes. Some animals, such as wolves and deer, travel in groups. You can hunt game, and if you don't get a kill shot, the animal will die shortly after. That said, unless you come up against a bear or get cornered by a group of infected while still a freshborn, the AI are not much of a challenge. In Scum, you do have ragdoll physics. All infected will drop dead in different ways and can even be kicked on the floor after death. The player can fall down mountains, rolling and tumbling the same way you do in Red Dead Redemption 2. Infected can even fall flat on their face when jumping over fences or rocks, which is always amusing. And after death, you can strip them of their items and chop them into pieces, harvesting items for crafting such as skin, bones, teeth and eyeballs. You have to make that Daryl Dixon ear necklace to win over the fickle hearts of the lady that has everything. Scum also has a slightly deeper hunting system than Dayz. You can get a single kill shot when hunting, but if not, you are able to use your sense vision to track animals from their footprints to their blood trails. Again, if your awareness skill is high, you will find this easier. Many of the animals will charge you and knock you down only to run off into the forest. Others will just keep attacking you until you die. Scum also includes a strong threat when visiting high loot areas. The mechs, or sentries as they're called, are huge ED 209 like robots that patrol points of interest, and they are armed with rapid fire Gatling guns. You have to use stealth and timing to avoid being seen by them, as they follow a patrol path loop until they spot you and will break their patrol route to try and find you. They do give you a single warning to leave the area, but if you run out at the wrong moment, you will get rinsed out. Luckily, if you are only looking for the zombie experience, you can find servers with the mechs turned off, but will usually find zombie hordes are increased and many more zombies that can be found in houses or the wild. Besides the mechs and the wildlife, there is also another zombie to be aware of, the C4 suicide vest zombie. As if running zombies wasn't bad enough, this skinny sprinter will charge at you with a proximity explosive vest and will detonate, killing you if it gets too close. So the AI in Scum are much more of a threat than in Dayz. Crafting. In Dayz, there are a number of items you can craft from resources found in the game, from tools, primitive weapons to base building items. Just make sure you have the set items and tools in your inventory, and you can craft specific items to help you on your adventure. The same goes for Scum, however crafting is much more relaxed. There's more than one way to skin a cat, so I hear, and there are many different ways to craft the same item. In Scum, you are not restricted to find the exact materials to craft something. You will find that creating something like rope can be done with a number of different materials, so you won't always be stuck looking for something that is critical for crafting when there are a few alternatives that can still do the job. So for making a bag, instead of using standard rope, you could use tree bark rope, crafted rag rope, wire or thread. You are able to craft some advanced items with the use of a workbench or drill press, such as ammo or explosive items, but only if your engineering skill is high enough. Base building in Dayz only turned up towards the final stage of development, which annoyed a lot of people. What's more, in vanilla, base items are pretty limited, but require you to own a hell of a lot of specific tools in order to craft them. Not only can this take a very long time to be able to find the tools, but the building side of it is very time consuming as well, and you will need every bit of inventory space free just for base building items and tools. Base raiding used to be ridiculous in that it would only take minutes to gain access to someone's base that they probably spent hours, if not days, building. This forced a lot of players to use modded servers that included a number of ways to make bases more fortified and tougher to just walk into after a few minutes. The Scum base building is a lot more friendlier with more variety. You can craft 3 different cabins, walls, gates, furniture, platforms and even many different traps. If you don't want to make a base from scratch, you have the option of taking over pre-built structures. Just place a lock on a door and craft window barricades and you are set. Different cabins, locks and barricades are also available depending on your engineering and survival skill levels. But no base is raid proof. People are able to get access if they have good lock-picking skills or enough explosives to break your defences. However, if you layer your walls, add many traps and many gold locks on everything, it will slow down the raiders. But they certainly won't get in minutes like you can in Dayz. Finally, we have the devs. Dayz devs are known for breaking deadlines, not being open with the community, not listening to concerns and features we don't want in the game, and as I stated earlier, are causing nothing but mayhem with the hard-working modding community, who I feel are the only people that are carrying the game and keeping the life support on. The Scum dev team have usually been very open and transparent with the community. The lead dev, Tomislav, regularly joins popular Scum streamers to talk about upcoming features and the future of the game. They post regular updates with screenshots and videos on what we should expect in the near future, and Tomislav himself is active in the Facebook community groups and is always available to answer questions people have. If by any chance there is a deadline issue, like the new Metabolism System I mentioned earlier, he will clearly explain why it wasn't included, and that by releasing it early would cause more damage to the game. I feel that the dev team have seen what works and what doesn't in Dayz, and has used it for their own advantage. Where Dayz misses a feature, the Scum devs make sure that it's added to the game, giving players a better experience and more features to work with. So that just about covers most things for the moment, and this video has already gone on a lot longer than I expected. But do you disagree with anything I have said, or is there anything I have missed? Don't forget to put it in the comment section below, and subscribe if you found this video helpful. So until next time, stay safe and healthy, and I will see you in the next one.